From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Well, we begin in San Francisco, where public transit is facing an uncertain future, putting the city's recovery in jeopardy. Good evening. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. A massive budget deficit means the SFMTA will have to make some tough decisions about which routes to eliminate. The city's iconic cable cars may even fall silent. Wilson Walker on what it could mean for San Francisco.
Like even my cousin sister has told me that if you're coming to San Francisco, you have to visit and you specifically have to sit in the tram to enjoy the ride because it is historical. And,
all the way from Dubai, Sachin had to see the cable cars during his visit. San Francisco's rolling landmark turned possible budget crisis target.
We're looking at even more painful losses, like trimming back the cable car system or the F-line. These are services that are very expensive to operate, but are at the core of our city's identity, including bringing back a strong visitor economy.
Transportation Director Jeffrey Tumlin is again sounding alarm bells about the budget hole that opens in 2025 and then balloons in 2026, possibly more than $300 million.
It is the equivalent of eliminating over half of the system.
You know the story, the downtown downturn emptied out those downtown transit stations, and even while bus lines have recovered,
I think I see more and more people on the bus during the day than I ever used to.
downtown is still a long way from recovering, and that is not just lost revenue at the fare gates.
And in addition to all of those downtown office buildings having a lot of empty desks, they're also having a lot of empty parking spaces in their basements. That is all lost revenue to us.
So SFMTA is now reviewing its options, drawing up different ways to cut, save, and add revenue.
As you probably know from last week's news, it is unlikely that the federal government is going to come to our rescue again.
And Muni isn't alone in this. Their fate is largely tied to BART in many ways, and that means a big rescue line will likely have to come from the voters if the most painful cuts are to be avoided.
So the work that we're doing at the region in partnership with the other counties is proposing a pretty significant ballot measure for the 2026 ballot.
So what happens next? Well, there is a working group looking at all of this, running the numbers on how they can save money, raise revenue, or potentially cut service. And in January, they will present basically a menu of options based on different circumstances that will run into the, as you heard, 2026 ballot measure. So we're really just at the front end of all this. We're going to hear a lot about transit funding for all of these agencies for at least the next 2 years.
And at a hearing yesterday, the SFMTA discussed a number of severe cutbacks that could be on the table. That includes reducing the frequency of buses by up to half, eliminating less bus lines or less busy lines and overnight service, and eliminating or reducing fare subsidies, but nothing is set in stone just yet.